Has it started? Yeah, it is started. So instantaneous center of rotation. And what is instantaneous center? Anyone? What is center of rotation? What is center of rotation?
A point where
It
the
is a
body
point.
rotates.
Yeah, a point about which a mechanism or a link rotates. Very simple, right? So center of rotation, sorry, rotation. Center of rotation is a point about which a link rotates. Now I'm adding the term instantaneous to this. What is instantaneous? Instantaneous. What is instantaneous? What is the meaning of this word? Hmm? Instantaneous means at a particular instant. At a particular instant. Fine. So instant is like zero time. Fine. So practically speaking, zero time doesn't exist. Time doesn't stop for anyone. Fine. Is there any disturbance coming? Okay. So there was some disturbance coming. Okay. At a particular instant. So for practical purposes, how do we assume this instant? We take the value for a very small instant, small time, we can say very small time. Fine. Let us say for a microsecond or a millisecond. Fine. So that's the small time for which we take the value. We can have instantaneous velocity, we can have instantaneous acceleration, we can have instantaneous center of rotation. So whenever we talk about instantaneous, we talk about a very small time, very small time. Okay. So when I talk about instantaneous center of rotation, I'm talking about the center about which an object is rotating at a particular instant for a very small amount of time, for a very small amount of time. Fine. So now once again, these instantaneous centers, there are three types. There are three types. Fine. So we'll have to study about these three types. The first is fixed, and the second is not fixed, not fixed, not fixed, but permanent, but permanent. Okay. And the third are neither fixed nor permanent, neither fixed nor permanent. Okay. So will you be able to tell me in which case it is fixed, which case it is not fixed, and all? Let me take an example. For example, I'll take this link over here. Okay, a small one. Okay. Okay, so this is the link I've taken. Okay. So now let me name these links. So this is, let us say, 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. Now we have to write the instantaneous centers. We have to write the instantaneous centers. So this center here, what kind of center is this?
Fixed center.
Yeah, fixed center, right? So because the link number 4 is grounded, it is fixed. Link number 4 is grounded or it is fixed. So this instantaneous center I14, I14, what is this type? What is the type of this link? It is fixed. Okay. Is there any other fixed link, fixed instantaneous center? I34. I34 is also, isn't it? I34 is also
Yes, sir.
fixed. So these two instantaneous centers, they are fixed. They are not moving when the mechanisms are moving. When the mechanisms are moving, these 2 points are not moving, right? So next, what about next? Let us say this one. This is instantaneous center 1, 2, and this is instantaneous center 2, 3. So are 1, 2 and 2, 3, are they fixed or moving? Are they fixed or moving? Come on. Are they fixed or moving? 1, 2 and 2, 3, are they fixed or moving?
Moving, sir. Move.
This point will be moving like this, right? And this point will be moving to and fro like this. So because they are moving, they cannot be called as fixed. They can definitely not called as fixed. But are they neither fixed nor permanent, or not fixed but permanent?
Not fixed but permanent.
Yes. So they are not fixed, but definitely they are permanent. So these two links, these two instantaneous centers are the second type. Now what about the third type? Neither fixed nor permanent. Neither fixed nor permanent. Neither fixed nor permanent. Anyone?
Cam and follower.
No. In the same mechanism that I've drawn, you will be coming across both these types. Fine. So how to get this type is you have to extend the links. You have to extend the links. Okay. So you have to extend link number 2 and link number 4 and their intersection point. Their intersection point. So their intersection point. This is where we get one instantaneous center. Okay. This is where we get instantaneous center. Now, which instantaneous center is this? Which instantaneous center is this? For this, we'll have to learn about a law called Kennedy's law. Kennedy's law. Fine. So the Kennedy's law, it goes something like this. Okay, sign into this. So the Kennedy's law, it goes like this. Yeah. So if three bodies have relative motion among themselves, their instantaneous centers lie on the straight line. This is the definition. Okay. This is the definition. So let me take a snip of this. This it. Okay. Let's take all these points. This is the Kennedy's law. Okay. Now let's try to understand it. Fine. So three bodies having relative motion with respect to each other. So let us say the three bodies we are talking about are 1, 4 and 3. So 1, 4 and 3. 1, 4 and 3. So then the I centers, what are the three instantaneous centers for 1, 4 and 3? It will be all combinations of 1, 4 and 3. So let us say 1, 4 first, and then let us say 1, 4, 3, and then 3, 1. Okay. We have to take all the possible combinations of the three links. Okay. So these are the three instantaneous centers. So 1, 4, 3 are the three links that we are talking about. The three bodies that we are talking about are 1, 4, 3, and their instantaneous centers. These are their instantaneous centers. Okay. So now, according to the Kennedy's theorem, according to this theorem, the 3 points should be in a straight line. The 3 points should be in a straight line. Fine. So now I14 we already got it. I14 we already got it. This is what I14 is. I43 is same as I34. I43 is same as I34. Now the third one, I31, where it should be? I31 should be in a straight line. So 3-1 should be on this line somewhere. 3-1 should be on this line somewhere. Okay. Now let's talk about one more set. Let's talk about one more set. So the second set we are talking about is bodies 1, 2, and 3. Once again, we'll have to take all the possible combinations of this. So let's take I12, then I23. Come on, tell me. Then I31. So
3, 1.
I1, yeah, I12 and I23, both we got here. Now I31 has to be somewhere on this line, on the line extended, right? So 3-1 has to be somewhere on this line extended. So now both the lines want the instantaneous center 3 1 to lie on them. Fine. So what's the best possible point? A point which has both the lines will be the point where I31 point will be located. I31 point will be located such that the point comes on both the lines, both the extended lines. Okay. So this is how we are able to find the third type of instantaneous centers. The third type of instantaneous centers. So now is this center I31, is it fixed? I31, is it fixed? Is it fixed or not?
No.
No, it's not fixed. Let me show you. We'll take up 4-bar mechanism. Let's take up quadratic chain, and then we will see whether it is fixed or is it moving. Okay, let's go with quadratic chain. So let me create another new part studio. I'll take this because we will need a sketch to see whether they are moving or not, right? Let me take a sketch very fast. What happened? So I'll fastly draw a 4-bar linkage. Okay. And let me give some dimensions to this. So let's take 120. This one, let's take 80. This one, I want to take it very small compared to the previous. So say 70. And this one again, I want it very small. Okay. So this is the mechanism. Okay. So now we need the intersection of the extensions. This line extended, correct? And one more, this line extended, right? So now the point here is this point. This is the common point, right? This point is the common point. Now, when the mechanism is moving, is the point stationary? Is this point stationary when the mechanism is moving? Are you able to see this?
No, sir, it is wobbling.
It's wobbling. Okay, there is very little I can do about this wobbly thing. I hope the video is getting recorded anyway, so you may have to watch this part once again. Okay, so I'm talking about this particular point. So this point, when I'm moving the mechanism, the length of links is not changing. Okay, so I'll just let me show you two positions. Okay, because it is wobbly. In this position, the point is here. In this position, the point is here. Fine. Okay, so let me just delete this and make this coincident. Fine. So let me take first position here. Okay, and let me place a point overlapping it. Fine. So right now the instantaneous center is here, but after the link moves, you can see the previous point was here, but now the point has moved to this particular point. Fine. So initially the instantaneous center was here, and after the link moved, the instantaneous center shifted to this point. So it is moving, right? The point is moving, so it is definitely not fixed. But is it permanent? Is it permanent? These 2 points, they were permanent. These 2 points were permanent because they are fixed on the links. They are fixed on the links, and the link lengths, they are not changing. Link lengths are not changing. But for these two instantaneous centers, the link lengths are also changing. These are the lengths. Okay, these are the two lengths when we are concerned with this particular instantaneous center. So when the mechanism is moving, you can see that the lengths are also changing. The lengths are also changing. If you want, I'll just show you the dimensions also. So let me make this driven dimension. Fine. You can see right now it is 72 something. After the link after the mechanism moves, now you can see it is 101.2. So the link length is changing. So because the length is changing, we cannot call it as permanent also. We cannot call it as permanent also. Hence, so this particular link is of what type? It is neither fixed nor permanent. Neither fixed nor permanent. Fine. So we have up till now we have found how many instantaneous centers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instantaneous centers we have found. Okay. So there is one more instantaneous center possible. What is the one more instantaneous center that is possible? What is the one more instantaneous center that is possible? We will have to take all the possible combinations for these 3. So let us say this 1, 2, this 2, 3, this 3, 4, right? Then this 1, 3, then this 3, 4. Fine. So like this, we'll have to take all the possible combinations. So these two 1, 4. So total, how many we got? How many got in all?
6.
6 we got. So out of this 6, which one is left? 1, 2, we got it here. 2, 3 is over. 3, 4 is over. 1, 3.
1, 3 is left, sir.
1, 3 and 3, 1 are same. 1, 3 and 3, 1 are same. So 1, 3 is over. 3, 4. Yes, it's over. So 1, 4. What about 1, 4? Yeah, 1, 4 is also over. Which one is left?
Sir, you took 2, 4. Sorry, you took 3, 4 twice, sir, instead of 2, 4.
Okay. This should be 2, 4, right? It should be 2, 4. So 2, 4, we didn't get it. 2, 4, we didn't get it. So how to get 2, 4? How to get 2, 4? Once again, we will have to apply the Kennedy's law. Fine. Once again, we'll have to apply the Kennedy's law. So this link here, link number 1, we need to extend. And link number, which link? Link number 3 we have to extend. Link number 3 we have to extend. So the intersection point, okay, the intersection point that we get here, that is I24. I24. Okay. Is it clear? Now you may think that Kennedy's theorem is very difficult or complicated to apply. I'll tell you a simple method to identify the links, identify the centers. Fine. So you see, this is 2, 3, this is 3, 4. So what is common in these two? 3 is common, right?
3.
So 3 and 3. So when you cancel the common term, you get the next term, 2, 4. So 2, 4. Okay. Same way here also you can see this is 1, 4 and this is 1, 2, right? So what is common in these two? 1 is common in these two. So 1, 1. If you cancel, you get 2, 4. Correct? So this is a simple
Yes, sir.
logic. This is a very, very simple logic that you can apply to find the instantaneous centers, to find the third type of instantaneous centers, neither fixed nor permanent. Okay. Same way here also you can see this is 1, 4, this is 1, 4, and this is 3, 4. So what is common in these two? 4 is common. So 4 if you cut, we are left with 1, 3 or 3, 1. 1, 3 and 3, 1 are the same. Okay. Same way here upwards you can see 2, 3 and 1, 2. So 2 is common. If we cancel 2, we get 1, 3. Again 3, 1. 3, 1 or 1, 3. Both are same, right? So this is one of the simple logics you can apply for finding the instantaneous centers. And there's one more short method. Actually, I showed you this branching method. No? So the branching method seems a little complicated. So instead of using the branching method, you can apply a polygon method. Polygon method is much more efficient, right? So if you want to find out all the instantaneous links, instantaneous centers, if you want to find out all the instantaneous centers, what we can do is you can just draw. Okay, let's take a rectangle. That's better. So we'll have to draw. Okay, selection happened. So okay, again, right, rectangle. Okay, so we'll have to take rectangle. Why rectangle? Why we are taking rectangle?
So
Because
polygons.
we have to take a polygon with number of corners same as number of links. So here we have how many links? In this case, we have 4 links. So hence we have taken 4 corners. Hence we have taken 4 corners. Now the lines joining these points will give us the instantaneous centers. So the line joining 1, 2 will give instantaneous center 1, 2. Line joining 2, 3, instantaneous center 2, 3. Line joining 1, 4, instantaneous center 1, 4. Line joining 4, 3, instantaneous center 4, 3. Okay. And then we'll have to also, we'll have to ensure that each point joins every other point. Each point joins every other point. So one has joined with 2 already, one has joined with 4 already, but one has not joined with which link? Which point? 3. Okay, one was not joined with this point, right? So that also we'll have to join. Okay, so now this we have to draw as dotted. Why we are drawing dotted? Why we are drawing dotted? Why dotted? Anyone? Why we are drawing
There is
dotted?
no relationship between.
This is of third type now. Neither fixed nor permanent. Okay, neither fixed nor permanent. So the third type of instantaneous centers, we show them by dotted lines. We show them by dotted lines. Fine. So 1, 3 is connected. Then 4, 2 is not connected. So 4, 2 also. That's we'll have to join. Okay. 4, 2 also we'll have to join. So once again, this has to be dotted. This has to be dotted. Okay. Why dotted again? Why dotted? Because it is neither fixed nor permanent. Neither fixed nor permanent. Okay. So whatever mechanism is given to us, first we have to draw this diagram. Fine. First we have to draw this diagram, and we have to mark the corners. Fine. So the outer boundary values we have to find. So I12, I23, 4, 3, 1, 4. That's what we have to find first. Once these are found, then we have to start finding the in between instantaneous centers. So once every point has joined every other point, we have found all the instantaneous centers. Okay, is this clear? Any doubts here? So now some additional points I've given here. So this point here, the links may not be connected, may be connected or not. So some links are not connected at all. Like link number 2 and 4, they are not connected. Link number 1 and 3 are not connected, and their instantaneous center we are getting here. Same way, link number 2 and 4 are not connected, but their instantaneous center we are getting here. Then this is the other name used for the theorem, 3 centers inline theorem. So whether you are asked Kennedy's theorem or whether you are asked 3 center inline theorem, you should understand they are both one and the same, and you have to do the same explanation which we have done right here. Next, let us try to understand what is the use, why we are finding the instantaneous centers. Why are we finding this? So now the answer here is, this is one of the methods for doing velocity analysis. Okay, so one method of analyzing the velocity we have already seen in the previous class, and we have solved this problem also, and you saw that this problem was so complicated, isn't it? Because we are using the diagram method for solving this. We had to draw one diagram for velocity, one diagram for acceleration, and by measuring the values from the diagram, we were able to find whatever we were asked. So this method, instantaneous center, gives us another method for finding the velocities. So now let me first explain to you what exactly this instantaneous center means, how to apply the instantaneous center value. Okay. So let's get back to the notes a little. And yeah, so here in this diagram you can see the velocity VO032. Okay, so let me take this same diagram. Okay, so or just let me take the diagram from here. So that's better. Let me draw the two other lines as well, and then I'll take a screenshot of this for our use. So I have to draw this parallel, and these two lines got to make them parallel, right? These 2 points I'll just remove. These are just temporary points we have drawn. Let's see if I'm able to get this properly. So this is the part I want. Get this group. Yeah. This is the diagram I was interested in. Let's see. Color yellow, right? So I was calling this as 1, isn't it? Okay, sorry. So this link I had, this link I had called 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. Okay, so now yeah, so this center is instantaneous center 1 4. So instead of talking about instantaneous center, let me give it some names. So A, B, C, and D. Fine. So now now the velocity of point B will be perpendicular to AB, right? Velocity of B will be perpendicular to AB, and the velocity of C, how it will be? Velocity of C, this will be perpendicular to CD. This will be perpendicular to CD, isn't it? This is correct.
Yes, sir.
So now let's watch this closely. So this point, this is which instantaneous center? Instantaneous center for 2 4, isn't it? Instantaneous center 2 4.
Yes, sir.
Right, 2 4. So instantaneous center 2 4. Now at this particular instant, if you observe the rotational or angular velocity, of 2 and 4, that will be constant. Angular velocity of 2 and 4, that will be constant. Fine. And what is the formula for omega? What is the formula for omega? Or let me say, what is the formula
V
for
into
B?
R.
V is equal to omega into R. V is equal to omega into R. So what happens to the formula omega? Omega will be V by R, isn't it? Omega will be equal to V by R. So here this omega is constant, and that omega is same for Vc as well as Vb. So velocity will be, the angular velocity omega will be equal to velocity of C divided by R. What is the R here? What is the value of R here? R here will be the distance C to I24. C to I24. Okay. And same way, velocity of B divided by this length. Okay, this length. So what is that length? Length between B and I24. Length between B and I24. Are you getting it? So this relation you have to apply. Now, once you draw the diagram, you will be able to measure this length between B and I24, and length between C and I24. For this particular position, we can measure both the lengths. So this length and this length will be known. Now, if you know one of the velocities, if one of the velocities is given, you can find the other. Can you find the other? Isn't it? Are you getting it? So these are the two relations. So let us say A, take small value, right? Let us say X by Y equal to W by Z. Fine. If three values are known in this, then the fourth value can be found, isn't it? If there is only one variable in the equation, we can find that one variable very easily, right? So suppose X is to be found, then X will be equal to omega into Y by Z. If you know the value of if you know the value of W, Y, and Z, all three values, if they are known, we can easily find the value of X. If you want to find the value of Z, then Z goes up, X comes down, so W into Y by X. So if W, Y, and X, all three are known, then we can find the value of Z. So like that, this is what is the logic we have to use. So there are four values in all. If three of the values are known, we can find the fourth. If any three values are known, we can find the fourth value. Okay. So this I can use in one of the problems. So we'll have to do a problem. We'll do it. First, let us come back to see this. Okay. So is this clear? Kennedy's theorem is clear, and this instantaneous center, why and how we are using the instantaneous center. These two things are clear. Are these two?
So is it applicable to only three bodies moving relatively to each other? Kennedy's theorem.
Yeah, of course. Actually, we have to take three bodies at one time. Actually, here how many bodies we have? We have total 4 bodies. But we are taking three bodies at a time. We have to take. We have to take 3 bodies at one time. Okay. So, for example, again, let us say you want to find these two velocities. Okay. So let us say, okay, this is moving 22. So let us say this point is fixed. If this point is fixed, then how will the other two bodies move? This will move perpendicular like this, isn't it? And this will move perpendicular to this line like this. So let us say V1, V2, fine. And okay, let's call this distance as A, this distance as B. So when this particular link is fixed, then these are the two velocities. And this omega, we will consider it as constant. So here omega becomes V1 by A or V2 by B. Okay. We can have even more than 4 links also. We can even have more than 4 links also. And in that case, again, suppose there are 6 links. Then we will get a hexagon. And then we'll have to join each corner. We have to join with every other corner. Okay, so this is joined here, this is joined here, this is joined here. Okay, so this is joined here, this is missing, right? So like this, we have to ensure each of the point, each corner joins every other corner. And once we have found the instantaneous center represented by each of the lines in this diagram, we have found all the instantaneous centers. And by using the lengths measured from the instantaneous centers, using the same method, we will be able to find the velocities of any point, velocity of any point on the mechanism. Okay. So I'm hopeful that you will not get very complicated questions in the exam regarding instantaneous center. So mostly they will ask you theory question. So you should know the definition of Kennedy's theorem and should be able to explain what it is, how it is applied. Fine. They may ask you very small question and wherein they will provide you the lengths. Let us say if he's asking a question on 2 marks, he will give you all the lengths. Fine. So 3 values in this equation he will give you, and he will ask you to find the 4th value. Okay. Or they will give you a diagram which is very easy to do the calculation for. Let us say equilateral triangle. Equilateral triangle, it's very easy to find, right? So if I take midpoint of these two, then this here becomes the mechanism. This here becomes the mechanism, right? And these two lengths will be equal. Then he will give you this velocity he will give you, and he will ask you this velocity. So both the velocities will be equal in magnitude, isn't it? Both the values will be equal in magnitude because these two lengths are equal and this omega is constant. The velocity v1 and v2 will also be equal, right? So such type of simple questions they may ask you, and the goal, the focus of the aim of these questions will be to find out if you have a good understanding of this theorem or not, whether you have understood this theorem or not. That's what the questions will try to check. That's what the questions will try to check. Okay, is this clear? Any other doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, so the next thing is yeah, instantaneous center over 2 more definitions, small definitions are there. And for this centrode, axode and all, there is a very good video. I've kept it ready, and I'll share this, of course, on the chat here as well as on your WhatsApp group. I will share it, and please ensure you watch this full video completely. Please ensure you watch this full video completely, and after you watch this, I'll try to ask you a few questions regarding that. Where did it go to? K19. K19. Okay, so here goes the video. Please watch this video on your YouTube. So the video is of 5 minutes. 5 minutes video. I'll give you 10 minutes. So right now the time is 11:25. 11:35 we will come back and let's discuss what the video means. I'll just put it on play here, but I think the video will not play out very smoothly for you. So if it is not smooth, you can open your own YouTube. Link has already been shared. Open the YouTube, watch the video carefully, and then let's come back.
Let us now see the role centroids play in mechanisms. So here we have a whole mechanism. Think one is fixed, the other two are moving. We already know that the thing that is the sitting is center, I, then etc. And if we connect these centers and extend those lines, those have the result of I1 that we know from Kennedy's. And therefore we can locate I1 as a point of intersection like that. But that is true only at one instant. The next moment will be located in a different location and here, here. So if we plot the focus of such positions, we are going to get central. And because we are observing it by keeping it on fixed and placing ourselves in the point, it is called as the fixed central, or also called as the space. Let us now repeat the same exercise, but this time we are going to place ourselves on in T. That will appear fixed. And in 1 will appear to be rotating about this. This will be the center line. And its path will be slightly different. The section that you see is not following the space center of different path. Let us connect our positions and you get what is called as the epicenter of the moving center because it observes the moving part. Now, we must keep in mind that although we are getting two distinct curves, so-called space central and curve central, these two are parts of the same part. And therefore, they must always make a contact in that point. But we don't see that happening here. We see them making a contact only here and nowhere else. So that is what we are going to see next. How do we retain the contact and mechanism? So let us follow this picture, which will allow us to try to see its center. Here, we have filled the inside of the horizontal creates in shape. And then we have added some area to the center to get this version. The green shape is then attached to the so as you can see, it only begins a contact with the version. Let's take the green shape, which is actually making the only contact with the version. And finally, an interesting concept of cause and effect. See here, we started with the mechanism of the forearm, and that gave the a certain motion, which in turn generated some centros. Now imagine you just have the centros, and you have done away with the mechanism, and this green central starts moving without slip on this purple one. Even then, green field will be getting an identical motion. So the centros can actually replace the mechanism.
Okay, so I have played it once already. Let me just play it once more so that those who are having difficulty understanding the video in first watch itself, they can also watch it once more. And after this is done playing, we'll come back to the class. Okay.
So far, we have seen that any body in general plane of motion can be considered to be pure rotation at a given moment. And the center of that rotation at that moment is called the instantaneous center. Instantaneous because it can change the next moment and shift. And as it shifts, if it got the path, it's called the center. Let us look at one simple case of center. Say we have a field here, and that is moving without slip. And the wheel at any given moment is rotating about the point of contact with the rope, and therefore that is its center, and its path is nothing but the rope itself. So we are looking at the central here. Let us now see the role central play in mechanisms. So here we have the 4-bar mechanism. Link 1 is fixed, the other thing. We already know that the pin here is the center I, etc. And if we connect these centers using those lines, those are the result of I on V that we know from Kennedy's. And therefore we can locate I on V as a point of intersection with that. But that is true only as one instant. The next moment it will be located in a different position, and then we shift here, here. So if we plot the focus of such positions, we are going to get the central, and because we are observing it by keeping it on fixed, or placing ourselves in the it is called as the fixed central, or also called as the fixed space. Let us now repeat the same exercise, but this time we are going to place ourselves on pin 3. That will appear fixed, and pin 1 will appear to be rotating about this the center and its path is to be slightly different. The point of intersection that you see is not following the space center but different path. Let us connect all positions and we get what is called as the body center or the moving center because it is observed on the moving body. Now, we must keep in mind that although we are getting two distinct words, so-called space central and body central, these two are parts of the same body. Therefore, they must always make a contact in that point. But we don't see that happening. We see them making a contact only here and nowhere else. So that is what we are going to see next. How we are making the contact that we can see. So let us follow this schedule, which will allow us to write these centers. Here, we have filled inside of the central to create this green shape. And then we have added some area to fixed central to get this purple shape. The green shape is then attached to the tree. So as you can see, it only begins a contact with the purple shape. And the shape is a so the green shape is actually making a green contact with the purple shape. And finally, an interesting reversal of cause and effect. See here, we started with the mechanism, the 4-bar, and that gave the 3 a certain motion, which in turn generated these centroids. Now imagine you just have the centroids, and you have done away with the mechanism, and this green centroid starts moving without slip on this purple bar. Even then, link 3 will be taking an identical motion. So the centroids can actually replace the mechanism.
Okay, so I hope everyone has watched this video. I gave you double the time required. The video was of 5 minutes. I gave you around 10. So hoping that you have now understood what the video was trying to explain. Of course, you have the link with you. If you have not understood even after watching 2 times, after the class in the evening, you can watch it back. And if you have any doubts related to that, you can come back to me. I'll try to resolve that doubt as much as possible. So in the video, you have seen something called space centroid or fixed centroid, and body centroid or moving centroid. So these are the two names given to the centroid. The centroid itself, what is centroid? It's the path traveled with the instantaneous center for a range of motion of the mechanism. Fine. So we have found the instantaneous centers. So the two instantaneous centers that we found here, you can see these two instantaneous centers, the one here and here, they were neither fixed nor, so they were neither fixed nor permanent, right? So these type of instantaneous centers, when they move, the path on which these points, these instantaneous centers move, that path is called as the centroid. Right. So now in the centroid itself, again, we came to know there are two types. One is the space centroid or fixed centroid, and the other is body centroid, or also known as moving centroid. Okay. And these two centroids, if we make mechanisms, if we make links by using these mechanisms, and the body centroid is going to slide, not slide actually, do a rolling motion, rolling without slip, rolling motion on the space centroid. And the motion that this link will get, that will be same, the motion will be same as if these two links are attached. Fine. So even if we remove these two links, and then only by using the space centroid and the body centroid, if we are getting the motion, that motion will be same as if the links are already present in it. Okay. So this is about the body centroid and the fixed centroid, body centroid and the fixed centroid. Yeah. Space centroid and body centroid, or fixed centroid and moving centroid. So with this, we will stop today's class. And in next class, probably we will take up a problem, same problem, let us say, but we will try to solve it using this method. In the previous class, we had solved it using relative velocity or relative acceleration method, wherein we had used velocity diagram and acceleration diagram. In the next class, we will solve similar problems using instantaneous center instead of the velocity or acceleration diagrams. Yeah, any doubts? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Everything is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as I told, as I have been telling, this particular subject, it's a very unique subject. In whole of engineering for any branch, I think this is the most unique subject, because in this subject, you're not only supposed to have the drawing skills, but also the result of the drawings you're supposed to use in the calculations. Fine. So there is no other subject requiring such combined skill level, right? So dynamics, I think, is a subject which comes close enough to this. It requires mechanics. Again, very few places, I think, in CAMS or something, it uses a bit of drawing, but not so much as kinematics. Kinematics uses maximum amount of drawing skills combined with the calculation skills. Fine. So there is a lot of need for you to practice these diagrams again and again. As many problems as possible you have to solve, and only then you will become perfect. And when it comes to exam, you will be able to solve the problems given in the question paper with confidence. Okay. In fact, to tell you the fact, even after being a good student, having studied it in my student days, when I started teaching kinematics of machines, I got stuck in the class once or twice. Fine. And that is a very high possibility. I don't, if you don't want the same thing to happen to you when you go for exam, then you'll have to practice this really well. Fine. And the second thing is, it may seem not very important to you from the exam point of view, because anyway you have the choice in the long answer questions, and you may think that okay, we'll just leave it in the choice. But if you really want to be a good designer in the future, then kinematics is going to be a very important subject. Fine. This is like a soul of of a living organism, and when there is no soul, the body is of no use, right? So like that it is. And if you really are serious about being a good designer of machine parts, especially mechanical machine parts, then you should be really perfect with the kinematics of machines. And I really suggest you practice as many problems as possible. I'm always here to help you out. There are so many automated mechanisms present here in this Onshape. I'll share this to you if you need. But you should come up with a good amount of practice, and whenever you get any doubt, make sure you ask it in the class, and I will definitely try to solve it. Okay. So I guess the time is over. What is the next class?
Biologies.
Okay. So I'll stop the recording, download the attendance, and let